Welcome to the Flea Factory podcast, where we explore how to put together your life, your passions, your skills, and your responsibilities. Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite podcast app. Hope you enjoy.
Keep your voice loud, your heart of gold. Disregard everything that you've been told. Keep your mind set in the headlights. It's the story of your life.
Well, welcome back to the Flea Factory podcast. I have the privilege of introducing to you today my brew, Johann. How are you, Johann?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you, buddy?
I'm really well. You have also braved the weather to come and see me today.
Yes.
It is wild and woolly, and we are currently sipping on some warm homemade pumpkin soup.
One of the most beautiful cups of soup I've ever had in my life.
Well, there you
Sip,
go.
sip.
Sip, sip. So it's not coffee today. It is pumpkin soup that we are sharing. Thanks for coming. I am really excited to hear some more about your story. Now, we have known each other for, I think, about 4 years. Would that be about
Yeah.
right?
Three or four.
3 or 4 years. And we met as I was starting to rediscover myself,
Yes.
didn't we?
Yes. It was a very interesting meeting. I remember thinking there was a lot of parallels between us. The very day that we met, and I thought you were a very interesting character, and I almost knew that there was a reason why our paths were crossing. So
I had to give you a bit of backstory. I'd finished up in my role as CEO of a large youth organisation, and I was trying to work out what I was supposed to do with my next steps, and I decided to go back and try a bunch of stuff in my life. And so it was almost like I reset and I tried everything I'd tried. And one of those things was obviously I have a passion for music and for audio in particular. And so I ended up coming and studying a diploma in audio production, and studio production. And Johann is the campus manager at, I'm sure I can mention SAE.
pretty sure, yeah.
Pretty sure I can do that. SAE here in Adelaide. And I came and did a year as a diploma. I came as a student. I was the oldest person in the class by about 7 decades, I think.
At least.
At least. But it was an amazing year. I had a great year. It was just really good for me. I really loved it. And to be honest, it's probably part of why I'm doing a podcast. I imagine now. Maybe I learned something. You can tell me if I'm pulling this off.
No, you've done really well.
Thank you. So it's just been great, and we've got to know each other. And I've been to a party for when you became an Australian citizen.
Yes, my citizenship.
We've shared life together
We
since
have.
that time, which has been really good.
Yeah.
You came to my 40th birthday party.
I did, yeah. We've embraced and welcomed each other's families into our lives, and it's been beautiful. It's been really great.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to kick things off by asking you the famous first question. And the famous first question is, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I'm going to have to say, I guess when I was really young, it had to probably be the standard policeman or fireman or something like that. So, but I don't really have much of a memory of that. But I do have some memories of my really early teen years when I wanted to be a graphic artist, and particularly I wanted to do airbrushing.
Okay.
So I remember seeing on TV this documentary, and these guys this was in the 80s. So they were doing these really elaborate, eagles and Indian and mountain scenes on this. It must have been American. Wolves, yeah. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I really want to do that. But where I grew up in this situation, I guess art wasn't really an option as a solid career path.
Yep.
And so my next move was thinking that I wanted to be a patent lawyer. Because
from an airbrusher to
from
an
airbrush
lawyer.
graphic artist to a patent lawyer. And I have no idea why I wanted to be a patent lawyer. I think I remember my grandfather had patented a couple of things.
Okay.
And I guess it sounded exciting to me because you could see all new things and all exciting things. And I think that's what attracted me to it.
Okay.
But yeah, that didn't really last very long.
Is that... I wonder if that is actually what a patent lawyer does. Just sees exciting things, or whether...
No, they probably don't. It's probably the opposite. They're sitting in some stuffy old office just kind of doing
Doing
paperwork, and they get
Yeah.
the schematics and they kind of look at it and go, oh, maybe, I don't know, I have to compare things. And yeah, it's probably
Right.
not a very exciting job. Apologies for any patent lawyers out there.
Sure.
We don't mean to offend.
Yes. Well, that's it's like me wanting to be an optometrist and thinking that it was
Yes.
just blowing air in people's eyes.
Exactly,
That's not
yeah.
actually what the job is.
No,
So
no.
That's fascinating. A patent
Our
lawyer.
views of the world when we are young
Sure.
is absolutely amazing and innocent and so misguided sometimes.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I'm going to start by give us 30 seconds of who is Johann Dreyer. Is that correct? Have I said that
yeah,
correctly?
Dreyer.
Dreyer. Give us 30 seconds of who are you, where are you from?
Wow. I am from the South Africas. I am. Well, when you say who am I? Like,
Yeah.
what am I now, or just? Well, I'm just an
however
Afrikaans.
you want to answer that question.
I'm a Afrikaans boy. Grew up in a small town south of Johannesburg in South Africa. Grew up in apartheid South Africa, so it was literally like kind of growing up in a police state. Obviously, towards the end of the whole apartheid kind of era. So, I think officially things started ending in '89. So I was about in year 7, I
Okay.
guess. But growing up literally within all that stuff, now kind of not to get too political and stuff, but remembering rocking up at a beach in Durban and seeing the whites only sign
Mhm.
and not really understanding what it meant.
Yeah,
It was
right.
just like, whites only, like what? To me, color was just, it was weird. Like I just didn't get it. And
Right.
like later
You didn't
on,
see it.
no, and like even within my family, I've got a very kind of liberal family, and so,
Yep.
but again, a lot of my friends, super conservative, kind of right wing
Okay.
people, like actively involved. So I got myself into a couple of situations thinking you're going to a friend's barbecue and ending up at some kind of a political rally. And this is a true story. This actually really happened to me, where I was under the impression we were going to go to a barbecue at someone's house.
Right.
And we ended up at like a full protest against the President F.W. de Klerk
Wow.
in our hometown. And it was pretty funny because I got home and the next morning, mom and dad said like, so where were you last night? And I was like, I was supposed to go to like my friend's house and we were supposed to, but I said, but then we ended up going to like the civic center and like we were just kind of hanging out there. And they're like, oh yeah, no, we saw you on TV.
Wow.
And so, I mean, and just being me, like I'm very just kind of chill and I'll just go along with anything, and it's kind of got me into a bit of trouble every now and again. But yeah, so I guess that's me. But
Wow.
luckily, a lot's changed since then.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get into what's
Yeah,
changed
we'll get.
since then soon. So, from wanting to be a patent lawyer, did you become a patent lawyer after school? Is that
No.
is that the story?
Definitely not.
That's not
no,
the
I
arc?
was completely opposite of patent lawyer.
Okay, so let's fast forward to end of high school.
Cool.
What's first thing off the rank for Johann? What does work and life look like for you as soon as you're finishing school?
Well, so mine started a little bit before I finished.
Okay.
I started working in retail. So
Okay.
my mom worked for a big retail company in South Africa called Edgar's, and she managed to hook me up with a casual job. So she was in head office, and she organized me an interview. So when I was about 16, I started working there. And then during those, like year 12, when I started thinking about what I wanted to do,
Yep.
a little bit being guided by mom, because she was then working in this head office. She really thought that I would enjoy working as a purchaser or like a buyer or planner, fashion
Yep.
buyer and planner. So we decided that I should go study marketing.
Okay.
So I carried on working at Edgar's, started studying full-time a marketing diploma at Wits Technikon.
Yep.
And that was kind of what I did for 4 years.
Okay.
So I kind of got a permanent position after about 2 years. So I was full-time studying and part-time working, and then
Yep.
I flipped it around.
Okay.
So I was full-time working and part-time studying. Ended up working for Calvin Klein and Levi.
Ooh.
So I was like a product specialist. Funny enough, ended up in the female department, the girls' Calvin Klein, which is really funny because the gay guy was in the male department and the straight guy was in the female department. So This is the story of my life, really. But it was an absolutely amazing job.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it because we were kind of given a little bit more freedom. So when the new season stuff came out, we actually got to go to the factories and pick what we thought was going to work within our certain demographic. So
How old were you at that point?
21, 22, something like that.
Yeah, wow.
So
Living the dream.
Well, it was kind of living the dream, and I wasn't living at home anymore.
Okay.
So I moved out with one of my buddies. So, we had this little garden cottage where the two of us, were staying. I didn't even have a car, I had a motorbike at that stage. He had an old VW Beetle, and we were just young. We were partying. The rave scene was in a full effect. So music, I guess, had always been a very big part of my life. So I was DJing and stuff already.
Yep.
So, and then one of the guys I met when I moved to Santon, in that Calvin Klein position, he was a pretty, not high profile, but a pretty well-known DJ at a very cool club. And so he got me into DJing way more like tech house stuff and house. And I kind of got an opportunity to go mix with them at this club. And so that kind of really was one of the stepping stones where I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to start taking DJing a bit more serious.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're kind of doing all of that.
So that sort of starts to appear. Meanwhile, harboring a real passion for patent.
No.
Yes, no?
Yes, no.
Okay, so
the
that's
patent
gone
lawyer
now.
thing was gone. The little handbook that I had when I was in school with all the occupations in had been left.
Crossed that one out.
Had been left. I think we tore that page out, really.
Okay, right.
But,
Set fire to
so
that one
then
at a
it was-
rave somewhere.
yeah, so then it was like, marketing and business and retail.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I really had a passion for retail, I think, at that stage. I was really good at it. I won a couple.
Probably helps.
Well, it does. And it's also one of those things, if you really enjoy it, then you get better at it. And the better you get at it, the more you enjoy it.
Right.
And so it got to a point where I even, we would have these little challenges and see how much we can upsell and how we can upsell each other and stuff like that. But never, obviously still within reason. I remember in the formal departments, where someone would come in to buy a suit and you'd really be like, no, bro, we're going to kit you out. And it's not just like, he's like, oh, I've got some old time. Like, you're not walking out of here without a nice tie, and that was also again the early 90s or the 90s. So we had those really colorful ties. I remember the cartoon ties. When
I had
came out.
a Pepe Le Pew tie.
Oh man, I had a Batman one.
A Batman and a Pepe Le Pew tie, a cream microfiber shirt.
Oh yes.
And a double-breasted teal.
There we
suit.
go. Teal suit.
You would have sold me that, wouldn't you?
I would have totally. That was my
I went
formal.
to my first job interview wearing that exact outfit.
Yes.
And I got the job.
I was going to say, obviously you got the job.
Of course I did.
There's no way you wouldn't get that
Pepe
job.
Le Pew tie.
Yeah.
What was going
So
on?
my year 12
Mickey
formal.
Mouse vests.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I had one of those.
man.
I think at my formal.
Yep.
What was
That was
going
it.
on?
I was a little bit more extreme. I would wear a polar neck to my
Oh,
formal. So I had like a polar neck kind of, also a aqua green with a
right.
teal suit.
Ooh, green on green.
Green on green, man. I was dominating back
like
in
double denim.
Exactly. Man, I saw those
Wow.
photos when I went home to South Africa.
Yeah.
We stumbled upon a little box with old photos and I saw that photo of me. Doc Martens, like the boots, the
Yeah.
12 ups.
Yeah.
With this teal suit and then this kind of
Hot.
green.
Give that man a job at Calvin Klein. That's what they were thinking.
Exactly.
That's what they were thinking.
Totally. Like pushing the envelope on the edge of cutting edge fashion.
Wow. All right. All right. So early 20s, we're DJing a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
We're retail,
Retail all the way.
working, enjoying
That's
it,
Just
learning
kind of
some stuff,
ticking
just getting on
along.
with a bit of independence. Life's
That's it.
looking good.
Yeah.
Where do we go from there? What starts to develop? Is all of a sudden, does music start to develop a little more at that point?
Not
Or is that
just
still
yet.
just in the background?
It's still in the background. It's
Okay.
bubbling along. So then I actually had my first. My buddy and I had to move out of our first cottage, and we moved into another cottage. And this house was owned by a gay couple, and
Okay.
they had a IT company. And as I finished my marketing diploma, I remember the one of the guys came to me and he was like, "Hey, I'm really struggling. We've just hit this massive contract. I need people to help me build computers and do networking.
Okay.
You seem to have half a brain because you've just finished a
That's the
marketing
qualification, right? Yeah.
diploma. So
Got it.
you can build a computer." It's like, of course I can build a computer. Can you show me how?
I wear teal on teal.
Exactly. I can do pretty much
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a bit of a And again, like, unfortunately, he offered me quite a lot of money to do this job. So I was like, okay, well, this is cool. So again, 21, 22 going,
Sure.
whoa, hang on. I can make
Yes,
quite a bit of
I
money.
can build a computer.
Yeah. So I had a bit of a change in direction, started doing IT stuff.
Mhm.
And then that was all just fine. We were just living the dream again, doing
Okay.
all the stuff, working with these. They were pretty loose, actually, these cats. Like, I remember Friday afternoon drinks that got out of control very quickly. And again, this like young dudes, and we're just like, whoa, this is pretty hectic. And then at this company where they then put me at one of their clients. So I became like an on-site IT consultant, I guess.
Okay.
And it was more hardware side. So they had a network guy. So me and this network guy worked together. But then most of the time I was just building computers. The Y2K project. So that was one of my main jobs.
Was ending.
The world was ending. And they're like, but if you run this Norton project, I don't know if I can say these.
Yeah.
But then the world won't end anymore. So that was one of my major projects.
You saved
I saved this particular company at least.
Oh, right.
Probably the world, but I started with this company. And I had to go around to each and every computer and run. And I remember walking into the CFO, and this was a German reinsurance company. So you can, how conservative insurance is. So you can imagine reinsurance.
And German.
And the German
German reinsurance company. This was your place to sell.
This was my place where I was walking around. At that stage, I forgot to mention, I was heavy into skateboarding. So I was wearing like size 38 pants, even though I was probably a size 28. Super baggy with my skate, and that was all I was about. So I'd roll into these conservative offices and be like, I'm sorry, Mr. Hans, but you have to get off your computer because I have to run my scan. And they would just get so frustrated with me. And I'd have to sit there and wait for this thing. And I'd just sit there. I can't even remember how long it took. It wasn't like super long, but I'd have to literally watch what it was doing and then make tick when it's...
Like when you defragged your computer.
Exactly. It's literally like that. That's what it's doing. It's
going to be
scanning
people
the
listening to
system.
this who have no idea what we're talking about. Y2K, defragging.
Exactly, yeah.
This was our
lives back then. And these corporate guys would be sitting there going like, can this not go faster? Why is this taking so long? I'm like, just
and
chill,
you're like, hey,
Hans.
I'm saving the world.
Exactly, bro. Like, just relax.
Time to save the world.
Exactly.
In my pants.
In my chinos. Oh man, I used to love those really baggy chino pants, like khaki chino pants. I thought I was the coolest dude ever.
Were they Stussy pants?
No, I think I probably had some Stussy jeans.
Were you FUBUing by then? Is that
no FUBUing. No, I was getting into
some
serious skateboarding. So I had Alien Workshop jeans that cost me at that stage of my life like 400 Rand for a pair of jeans, which was, I remember my mom seeing that and was just like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, you could almost have bought a car.
But we'll get to this later again, but responsibility's low at this point in life, right?
I'm young. I'm living the dream. I'm just like...
Options, trying stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Disposable income.
Exactly.
All of the things we have less of today.
Yeah, we'll have disposable income. What is that?
What is this? Yes.
Anyways.
I dispose my income to the bank.
That's
where
exactly.
I dispose of it, on my mortgage. Yeah.
Totally. So then I met my ex-partner. And I started a relationship with her, and somehow we decided that we needed to go on adventure.
Okay.
So both of us resigned. She was the receptionist at this
at the same company.
Same company.
Okay.
I was the IT guy. So, it's pretty sexy when you can fix people's computers and stuff. And so there I was. I got myself a girlfriend after I'd been single for quite a while, actually. And then we set off, went to America on an adventure, and ended up working on super yachts.
See, I love talking to people that I think I know because I don't know them. What the heck?
Yeah. So I ended up in Fort Lauderdale just doing day work. So that normally was either doing varnish work. So you tape off the wooden handrails, sand them off, then prep them, and then normally someone, like a more advanced person, would come and actually paint the varnish on.
Okay.
And then we started polishing holes, so buffing out holes. So I'd have these little floaty things with these suction cups, and you'd suction cup yourself to the side of these and we're talking about 200, 300 foot like tri-deck, massive boats.
The real deal.
The real deal, yeah. And so that's what we started doing, and we ended up in Fort Lauderdale working there, and then we ended up driving a car to San Francisco to drop off a car. So This was a cross America trip
Yeah.
that we were supposed to do in 10 days. That we did in 10 days, but it was supposed to be like you drive 6 hours every day. And we ended up
Right.
doing like a massive trip from Lauderdale to New Orleans, spent 2 days in New Orleans, then drove from New Orleans to San Antonio, spent 2 days
A little bit
there.
distracted.
Yeah, then LA, then San Fran,
Yeah.
dropped the car. Anyway, so we got to see a lot of, but did some crazy stuff like on the way, like
Wow.
again, stories of running out of fuel.
Yep.
And literally, people talk about angels coming to save you.
Yes.
I firmly believe that we had
Really?
an angel with 2 jerry cans full of fuel that arrived,
Appeared.
just honestly appeared out of nowhere. And just as he appeared, he filled up our tank and then disappeared. And we got to go to, like, we made it to another, like, servo to put fuel in.
Wow.
And it was, that's in the story for another day.
That's a different podcast.
Anyway, went to
That's my
spend
podcast about angels.
yeah, exactly. Spent some time in California, in San Diego. There I was actually helping a guy refurbish a whole boat, like a classic old sailboat, beautiful, 180-foot, amazing. So I was just doing everything from, just polishing metal to fabricating stuff. And
But you have no background in that. You're
no
just doing
background,
it.
just
having a go.
doing it. Yeah, and that was the beauty of it. You just, pardon the French, but you just bullshit your way into anything. Like literally, we would sit next to the side of the road in front of these like hostels. So all the yachting people have hostels where all the yachting
Right.
people would stay,
Okay.
and day workers would just sit outside the front, and someone would pull up in one of these big, F40 kind of trucks of
Yeah,
theirs,
yeah.
and be like, can anyone do plumbing? And everyone's just like, yep, I can do plumbing. And then and that was the day before smartphones, so we couldn't even like
Right.
Google in the back of the
Yeah.
thing.
You're like, I've seen plumbing.
Exactly. So luckily, because of my ex, we got a lot of cleaning work
Okay.
because a lot of times she'd be the only girl. And so they'd like roll up going, oh, well, we need someone to clean the inside of the boat. And they'd be like, oh, you come. And then she'd be like, oh, well, I only come if my boyfriend comes. And so we managed to get a lot of work like that. But then also, as you we went back to Lauderdale from San Diego, and by that stage we had made a bit of a network, so we kind of got some more permanent work, but it included me painting someone's house, just you would literally do anything you can.
Yeah.
And at the same time just kind of traveling around. We did get a permanent position as a couple on a boat, a smaller boat. So I was the deckhand, she was the stewardess, and I had the captain and his wife who was the chef. And we had the owners on board, and we'd take them to the Bahamas or take them to Miami.
Sounds terrible.
It was terrible. The jet skis had to be run every now and again to make sure that it's all good. So we'd have to get the jet skis out, just run them around, take the tenders out.
Wow.
So tough life, very tough life. And then our visas ran out.
Okay.
And so we were like, what do we do? So we ended up going back to South Africa. But then we had saved up a little bit of money. So we were like, let's do the same thing, but in Europe.
Sure.
And let's make it a bit more tricky.
Got
We'll
jet
take my
skis in
brother
Europe.
with.
Oh.
So
Take it
brother
up a
had,
notch.
that's it. Brother had just finished his year 12.
Okay.
What is he doing with his life? He's not sure. Come to Europe with us. Completely fell flat, the whole plan, because we roll into, Germany first, and then we went to Amsterdam, and then we went to France. And then so every time we get to these places where we think we can work, the yachting industry is just a bit different. We don't know the language.
Right.
We can't find any other work. So we ended up staying there for, I think, 7 months.
Right.
Just spending all the money that we had made in America,
Sure.
which is a bit of a shame. Again, I don't know how deep you want to go into these adventures of mine, but we ended up on a farm in England, like working just the most manual labor that you can ever imagine in your life, like picking potatoes and stuff. And so I guess we eventually made our way back to South Africa after another funny story with visas and getting deported out of Amsterdam,
Right.
which is the place you want to get deported out of for many reasons, but I got deported for the wrong reasons, for not having the right Schengen visa to travel through from Amsterdam. Right. Literally, like we were coming in from the domestic arrivals, and I had to walk through one glass door
to get
to the international departures, which I could see. I could see the counter that I needed, and they stopped me and they said, "You don't have a visa that's going to allow you to walk through this door." And I'm like, dude, I need to be at that. I can see the counter. And they were like, no. So they sent us back to Edinburgh, flew us back with Jetstar kind of, local
Yeah.
flight. They
Yeah.
was like, no, you're not coming. Anyway, another long story.
Wow.
So back in South Africa, then I was looking for work, and being a extreme sport fanatic, I saw an ad to run an extreme sport venue.
Right
I was
up your
like,
alley.
This is perfect. Here I am.
I've already got the pants.
I've got hardcore skateboard pants. I've got some scars. What more extreme do you want? And it ended up being like a bungee swing up in
Okay.
the north of South Africa,
Yep.
near a place called Graskop, which is this gorge, and they made a gorge swing.
Right.
So I rolled in there and I became the jump master for this gorge swing, which
Of course you did.
it's funny looking back at it. You feel like, oh, how long did I work there? Probably 2 or 3 years. And then you go and do the math and you're like, oh no, actually, I was only there for 3 months.
Oh, right.
Dude, it was the most stressful time of my life.
Okay.
Like it really was. Like there's a lot of other reasons. Like the guy who owned the thing was on some heavy medication because he had back issues.
From the jump?
No, luckily not from that. But yeah, so there was a lot of stuff going on.
Wow.
But then I started having nightmares of people like dying
All
while
right.
I'm there.
Like
on
the
this.
responsibility of it.
Yeah, because I'm the one. So we harness them up, and then I have to clip them in, and then I'm the one that lets go of them at the time when they jump.
So it's on you.
So it's all on me.
You
right?
are the jump master.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then I started getting nightmares, and then we had an incident with something that would happen often is like when it was super misty, we'd close the jump, right? Because it's too dangerous to jump. And what happens is when it gets misty, and it gets misty there because it's where the highland and lowland, I guess, what do you call it? High felt and low felt in South Africa.
Yep.
So it's literally, so because of this, there's a lot of mist on this kind of corridor, I
Right.
guess. So we had it often where we had to close the jump. And then what would happen is the ropes would get a little bit wet, and then they'd stretch a little bit further
Right.
than they normally do. So normally,
Okay.
yeah. So before that incident happened, I would be in the pub, because the jump's closed for the day. We like go to the pub, have a lunch, just hang out there, It used to get pretty cold there. And then I get a call from the local police, and it's a very small town. So imagine this town is like the size of like Wollonga or something like that. So everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
So like I had the direct line for like the senior superintendent, who was like one of 3 people, the cops that worked there.
Right.
And he'd call me and he'd be like, "Hey, Johann, there is a oak on the platform there at the jump. You better come and have a look and come and talk to him." So people would get drunk or maybe be like depressed or whatever, and then climb
their
through and go and stand on the platform contemplating,
Eternity.
yeah.
Right.
And then I'd have to go in there and go, "Hey, hi, what are you doing? Like maybe let's come down here, let's have a chat." So that happened
Wow.
twice, right?
Really?
Where we had to go and kind of have a chat to someone.
It's a big 3 months.
Yeah, right. And so anyway, and then I had this couple who rolled in one day and they wanted to do a tandem jump. And so we had, obviously weight that we had worked out. And
Okay.
I was like, "How much do you guys weigh together?" And I was like, 120 is like the limit. But, technically we could throw 3 tons off there and it wouldn't do anything.
Sure. You just
But-
need to do the maths.
Well, you just need to do the math and figure it all out. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, no, we weigh under 120. I was like, okay. And I was a little bit skeptical, but I was like, who am I to judge? Anyway, they
The
jump.
jump master.
The jump master's
You
supposed
are
to
the
judge. Jump. They stretch a little bit further than they normally do, and they like clip the top of a tree. But luckily, just the bushes,
Okay.
like just the.
Yep.
So just a little bit of. But anyway, they walked back up, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we were kind of lying about how much we weighed." So luckily,
good to know
they were
now.
just like fully like, "Okay, that's our fault. Like, sorry, like we should have been more
Yeah.
honest." And I think that was the one thing that tipped me over the edge.
Right.
And then I was like, you know what?
You're not doing this anymore.
I can't do this. It's too stressful. Yeah. So packed up there, went back to Johannesburg, and I'd heard, because I was kind of going back every couple of weekends, to spend time with the family and so on. And some of my friends ran a skate park, an outdoor skate park.
Yeah.
That they'd built on council land. So they were leasing
Okay.
the land from council.
Yep.
His dad was a builder. They built this concrete park, and they were over running this. So I went back to Alberton and I was like, "I'll take it over." And
Okay.
they were super excited. They're like, "Yeah, take it. So my retail kicked back in.
Right.
So we created a whole little skate shop, one of my dreams always had been actually while I was studying even is to have my own clothing label and my own skate brand.
Right.
So I was like, this is it. This is the time.
Yeah.
So I did it. I built the skate park, the shop, butt naked skateboards, which was supposed to be in Afrikaans. It's kolgat,
Okay.
and that's how it started. And then I was like, no one's going to know what kolgat means, so I need to make it butt naked. And the whole idea for me was that you can be yourself, just be yourself, because there was there's a lot of ego and a lot of image in all that kind of stuff at that stage. And I was just a bit like, just be yourself and have fun. Yeah. So that was the idea behind it. So we ended up doing really well. Yeah. The park just kind of, a bit more life. I got some people do new sick graffiti and whatever, and got in touch with some of the distributors in South Africa. So I got all like the latest and greatest skateboards and accessories and trucks and shoes. And then my bro and I had this idea of let's build an indoor skate park.
Right.
So we found this abandoned shopping center that they had turned them. So imagine like a big,
like a Westfield
Coles.
Right.
No, so like a big Coles. So it was a Coles center. So there's, it's one of these arcades. So they've got a couple of other little shops. But the Coles had been completely stripped out, and in the middle where all the normal aisles are is now a flea market.
Oh, right.
On the one side is a butcher, like the butchery. So it's the whole the back end of that, so where they get deliveries and stuff. And the other side is the bakery side.
Okay.
So I walk into this little warehouse, which is like this L-shaped. It was about, I think it was 300 square meters from memory now.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is perfect. So we loaned money from my dad. Luckily he was on board. I did a whole business plan for him. I wasn't messing around. I was like, it's not just going to at dinner time go, hey dad, do you want to chuck us 10,000 rand, So I drew up all the plans. I showed him. He'd obviously seen what had been happening at the other park. And to be honest, so we used to put on events. Like I'd put on like skate demos or skate comps, and I'd organize bands. And we'd make a lot of money, seriously, a lot of money, like on one event. Yeah. And so I think dad was like, all right, no, this is cool.
You had a bit of credibility behind you.
It
Something
wasn't
had
just,
been working.
And so we invested and we built this skate park, and it was going amazing. Mm-hmm. Like it was absolutely amazing. We were doing really well. I was at that stage, I was sponsoring, I think about 10 to 15 kids. Yep. Just photo shoots and filming, and it was just going off. And everything was going fine. And then our 1 year anniversary, we go, you know what we should do? We should have like a massive punk fest.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong for our 1 year anniversary? And the reason why we decided the punk fest is because a lot of the kids from the north suburbs, like kids would drive 45 minutes to come to our skate park. Yeah. And we were kind of getting that momentum where people would be like, and again, from me in the industry, talking to all the major labels and people, we would get all these like touring skate companies who would come and do skate demos and stuff. And so these kids approached me and they're like, oh, we've got this punk band. We want to do like a Woodstock, like a punk fest kind of thing, like punk stock. And we ended up
punk stock.
Like it was supposed to go from like midday to midnight or something. And we ended up having something ridiculous, like 36 bands were going to play, I don't know. The whole thing just spiraled out of control. Yeah. And I remember I went off with another friend of mine, we were playing djembe drums at a gallery opening. So music is still in the background. So I'm organizing parties, I'm organizing events. Yeah. I'm playing my djembe drums because I'm in Africa and that's what we do. Yeah. And we're at this gallery opening. I left my brother in charge and another really good...
I wanted to know you then.
Man, it was amazing. Again, so naive and trusting. I'm just okay, we can do this. 36 bands, 12 hours, easy.
Yeah, we got this.
It's punk music. The songs are never longer than 40 seconds anyway. Exactly,
10-minute set, they'll be
totally,
done.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
And we were quite far off. I think we were like an hour and 15 minutes away. And I remember my brother called me and let's say the event was supposed to start at midday. This was like at 11:15 or something when my brother rocked up to kind of open up the whole thing and kind of they were going to set up barbecues because we were making booty rolls and we had like cool drinks that we were selling and snacks. And my brother phones me and he's just like, I think you need to make a plan to get back here as soon as possible. And I'm like, why? He's like, dude, there's quite a lot of people here already.
Okay.
And I'm like, but it's like an hour before it starts. He's like, yeah, exactly. And you've met my brother, so he's
Yes.
a very like straight, analytical guy. He's like, I can foresee that there's going to be a problem. Like you need,
I can foresee that.
I
it's
can
gonna be
foresee that our risk
Yes.
management plan has
Sure.
possibly not included for this one factor. And I was like, all right, cool.
right.
And
The factor being lots of people.
lots of people. So
Like lots of
like
people.
lots of people.
Okay, right.
Like quadruple what we could never have even imagined would have ever come to any of our parties, right?
Got it.
So anyway, I was like, "Oh man, you'll be fine." So we're at this, it's all
So
chill.
you're not there.
I'm not even there.
How far are you away?
I'm about an hour away, like a bit more than an hour. I'm like literally
This is how confident you are in the event. You're not even there.
I'm not even there. I'm in Sasselberg playing at this, like in this garden. A couple of friends were like playing this chill, like djembe drums at this art gallery opening thing. And then I get the second phone call, and it's my mate, and he's like, yeah. So, are you on your way back? I'm like, no, bro. I'm in the garden playing djembe drums. He's like, yeah, no, I think you need to come back. And then, like, literally put it down. And then my brother phones me again. And he's like, so are you on your way back? And that's at that stage. I was
right,
like,
okay.
Donnie,
Yep.
I'm sorry. I really feel, and unfortunately, again, I drove with someone else. I didn't even have my own car. So, like, we're going to have to cut this short. Anyway, long story short, we roll back to the skate park. I couldn't get into the side street to get to the entrance of the skate park.
Right.
There was that many people.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I'm obviously probably over exaggerating, but I feel like there was 4,000 people at
Okay.
the skate park. Like, you could not move, right?
Okay,
They
yeah.
normally, like at those events where we had the band up, people could still skate. Like, there was a mini ramp over
Okay,
open.
right.
And then on the
Sure.
outside, we had like a bunch of like boxes and rails and
Okay.
stuff. And so kids would always be skating.
So it'd be busy, but it'd be still
Yeah,
active as a park.
Exactly. There was no.
There was no.
It was like literally imagine you are in the mosh pit at a Tool concert kind of thing. Like
Yes.
I had to squeeze through people to get into the main gate. Like it was absolutely insane. And then like literally from that moment on, it was just chaos. It was chaos control of trying to control chaos. Fast forward, the event happened, it was crazy. At the end of the night when we were trying to take stock of what had gone on, the punks, these kids had gone into our bathrooms and kicked down every single, not even just the door, like break off the door, like the cubicle walls were gone. Like I don't even know where they were. The main front doors for both the boys and girls bathrooms were gone. They had gone to the volleyball. There was an inside volleyball court on the other side, indoor volleyball, and they had gone over there to try, underage kids try and buy alcohol, and when they were told no, they were threatening the people at the volleyball that they were going to bash them. Graffitied the walls. There was just, it was chaos. So kind of what led up to this is we had a couple of warnings already, because it's skate kids,
park.
it's skate park. There's a couple of things that happened, a couple of fights that had broken out at other events, which makes sense. And yeah, so that was just the final straw on the camel's back. So on our 1-year anniversary, we got evicted from our skate park, which I then spent, I don't know, maybe a month, 2 months trying to find another venue. So we had to go in, break down all the ramps. But now obviously the park was custom designed for that space.
Right.
And we had a really good deal. Because it was a kind of a,
So no one else was using it.
No one else was going to use it. So the rent that we had paid was super affordable and we could totally do it. So the next moment I'm looking at mini factories and then all of a sudden the rent's like 10 times. So I'm like, there's no way I can make this really work. So we had to pack it up. I literally had to close the whole thing down. And so I still owed my dad some money. So what do? You go to the UK for a working holiday to go make some pounds so that you can pay your dad back, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking you were going to do next.
So here I am. I'm flying.
So Did you have the original skate park at the same time, or no?
No, so we let that go.
And you moved into the one.
and we just focused on the inside one.
Everything was in. You were all in.
all into that one. So there's a couple of reasons why we couldn't go back to the outside one. Because my dad worked for the council, so we had heard that there was a taxi rank next door to it, and that they were going to expand and take over the whole park. So we were also like, well, we're not investing money there because we know that the council, any moment, they're going to just, come and flatten all of this and build a rank there. So we're like, all right, cool. So I'm like, okay, this is it.
So you were all in.
And then
evicted.
Bam, 1 year in.
UK,
here I come.
Gone.
So
By yourself?
No, with one of my brother's friends, actually. I think that's what happened. So he wanted to go overseas.
Someone had a good idea. That sounds like my next move.
We should do this. I should totally do this. Saying that, at the time as well, my ex then had gone back to America. She got offered a job back on a boat.
Right.
So she went back as a permanent crew member on this yacht.
Yes.
So I was a little bit more footloose and fancy free. Again, I was living at mom and dad's at that stage. So no financial.
Outgoings again.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, whatever. So went to the UK. Again, the luck on my side, ended up getting a job designing and quoting gas installations for new build houses or redeveloped houses.
Yeah.
Because, that's what happens. So I went on this, I thought I was going for an interview to be a cleaner. And I rolled in and the woman was like, so come and do this test. So we had this like typing tests and like, it was literally like an IQ test, like an aptitude test. So I did this test. I was like, dude, I thought I was just going to vacuum, but okay, cool, whatever. I do this test and then they're like, oh, no, there's like 2 positions available to become part of the design and quote team. And she's like, would you want to do that? I was like, well, it sounds pretty cool. Like, why not? And I mean, I'm in the UK, so I need work, right? I'm like, I'd do anything. I don't care what it is.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, it's an office.
That sounds better than cleaning.
Well, exactly. And they're like, it's an office job. And they kind of told me a little bit. And I was like, this sounds like pretty much like a lot of fun. So I ended up having to do it's like 6 weeks worth of training before we could actually start work. So we had to learn like 2 or 3 different softwares. So we had a specific software that we would look up people's addresses, like Google Maps.
Yeah.
So you'd find their house, then you'd go and look up where the closest gas mains are. Yeah. Then you'd superimpose their plans, their actual drawings onto the map, showing where the closest gas mains are. And then I'd go in and design the shortest route to the house and then design the whole panels. So then you'd have to work out, you need so many elbow bends, you need so many valves, you need so many meters. But then it kind of started getting more tricky because depending on where they were, like if there's road closures involved, and then if you were working on heritage listed,
you were like, hey, I'm all over road closures. You just put on a punk fest.
Exactly. So I know about closing roads. Like this is my speciality. So, and obviously because I was there by myself, so all I did was work. I literally worked 12 hours every day. So I got really good at designing and I would remember all the codes so I didn't have to look it all up. So I ended up doing like triple the amount of work that the average couple of guys, but saying that there was about 6 South Africans there and we were all doing exactly the same thing.
Okay.
So we were just smashing it out. Yep. So eventually I find myself working on these sufficiently complex jobs because now I know enough to do the Museum of London, to do Old Trafford. So I did like some massive, like £10 million jobs where we had to literally close down like roads in the middle of London and then work on heritage buildings. So I did all the design and quote stuff for that.
You thought you were going for an interview to be a cleaner.
And I was going to be a cleaner. Okay. I was like, this is not bad for a cleaner.
No, it's pretty good.
And I made some pretty good money. Yeah, really good money. So anyway, then the second winter was coming in the UK because we got there in summer.
Right.
Did summer, did winter. Kind of summer came around again, and as it was kind of getting cold, I was like, you know what, I can't do a
South African
winter.
boys out of here.
Like I'm out. Drop the mic. So ex-girlfriend, still living the dream in the Caribbean, just on these yachts, and so she's just like, just come back, like we could kind of
to the US.
Yeah. So I went back to the US. Just carried on doing boat work. Ended up again in a boatyard with this awesome captain, and we were just refurbishing this boat. This old fishing boat, and he was the loosest unit that you could ever imagine. He was so funny. But yeah, so I ended up doing that for I think maybe another 7 or 8 months. and then we went back to South Africa. And I was like, this is it, South Africa. I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I think we lasted another 18 months. And during that time is when my music stuff really. So sorry, to get back to the music stuff. So when I was in America, when I went back to America, that's when I bought a guitar, and I was like, I'm really into music.
So how old are you then? What's your
28?
Okay.
28, 29,
Yep.
maybe somewhere there. Yeah. And so I'm like, I want to start playing music now. I've been DJing, and I've, obviously when I was traveling, I wasn't doing much DJing. And I was like, I'm going to start playing music into like heavy, hard rock, industrial rock. That's what I want to do. I want to play in like a Rammstein band. Can't figure out how they play those chords, but anyway, I'm going to just do it.
Give it a go.
So then when I went back to South Africa, again, just fell into retail, was just doing retail and just quickly found myself like, oh, this is not me. And I was like, I need to pursue music. I really need to find this calling of mine. And again, by accident, stumbled upon an SAE brochure.
Okay.
Because I was looking at studying like music in California, at like the University of California, and then like looking at UQ, studying at UQ music. Yeah. And I quickly realized like, there's no way I can, because these guys are talking about like, level 8 being musicians playing so long and doing all that
like
stuff.
Music's like in you love it, but it's not like history and like technical music.
No,
it's not like,
I've never done. I did a bit of guitar lessons. My mom plays the organ,
Okay.
So my uncle used to play. Yes, there's music in my family, but no one's actively doing it, and I'm not playing music. So I realized that quickly, like, I can't go and study music because I don't have that background. And then
at 28.
Yeah, at 28, I'm like despondent. I throw this brochure, and what happens? This SAE brochure doesn't fly with the rest of them. It falls straight down at my feet.
Right.
And I pick it up and I go, hang on.
And it says Johann.
And it says, you can be an engineer. You don't have to be. So having grown up with electronics dad in a technical school,
saving the world from Y2K.
I'm like, this is me. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
And boom. That was, I think, one of the questions you asked, what's the boldest thing you've ever done? At that stage, I was 32. Was it? Yeah, 32. And I just, maybe 31. I don't know. Packed up everything.
I don't think
in
it
South
changes
Africa.
the story all that much.
Sorry. Packed up.
The point was you weren't 17.
There I am. Yeah, exactly. I was well into my later stage of my life. Then bam, moved to Byron Bay. Just study audio engineering. And
so you don't study in South Africa. You come and study here.
Come to Australia.
Because why not?
Well, because I needed to get out of South Africa.
Okay.
Because I quickly realized that, you know how the universe just sometimes pushes you along? And I quickly realized every time I went to South Africa, it was just like my creativity was stifled. I wasn't feeling good about being there. There was obviously a lot of other stuff going on, political stuff, which was just not sitting right for me. And so I knew I wanted to leave, and it was either Australia or America. All the Aussies that I'd ever met while I was traveling, doesn't matter where I met them, the moment they met me, they'd be like, you need to go to Australia.
Okay.
Like,
And you'd not been before?
Never been.
At that point?
Never been.
So it was just 3 people you knew that you'd met along the journey. You kind of, sounds like a good enough place. Nice enough people.
Exactly. My cousins had immigrated 10 years before that. So they lived in Brisbane. So I talked to him a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, at this stage when I was looking at moving, I think it was between Brisbane, Melbourne, and Byron. And I remember reaching out to Neil and going, hey, I've got these options. Where should I go? And he was like, go to Byron Bay. Like, you want to go to Byron Bay.
He's met you with your drums.
Yeah. And I was just like, all right, sick, bro. And so ended up going to Byron and not knowing that it was literally the best SAE campus nationally.
Right, yeah, it's head office,
at that stage it was the international headquarters for SAE. Right. Amazing equipment, amazing lecturers, amazing location. So there I was, did my first year, got a scholarship for the second year.
Okay.
As part of the scholarship, you had to work, some hours back. Nagged and got a job in the tech office to work back some of my hours, like helping, handing out gear and then doing a bit of helping students. Finished up the degree, ended up working in the subs office, ended up being the head techie Then they needed someone to redevelop the vet program. Then I started doing that. Then it was teaching, and boom. Then I moved to Adelaide to come and run the campus here.
Okay, let me get my head around this for a second. Okay, so now along that way though, you're now writing and producing your own music as well, right? You're performing, you're doing. There's all sorts of things going on now.
Yeah, so now
musically as well as you're just studying and becoming a tech as such. Like
so then we're fully doing like bands. Again, I was really interested in doing heavy music, but along the way, you realize like post-production's super fun. Got into sound design, and one of the modules we did an electronic music module. And quickly, so it's funny because I left the dance music behind, like the techno and the house and stuff. I was like, no, I want to do rock music. And then that electronic music module forced me to make something that I didn't really want to make.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I realized how much I missed like the dance music and especially the techno stuff.
Yeah.
And again, then I met like specific people like Tyler, which then ended up, me and him were still producing music together.
Yep.
And then, I was like, oh, hang on, I really love making electronic dance music. And, and then doing sound design. And so then, that was just all happening. So I kind of left the studio stuff behind. There was a couple of little projects I kept on doing.
Okay.
But mostly it was just my own electronic music stuff. And then we got into the hardware side of it. Then it was just like getting into like analog drum machines, analog synths.
Yep.
And so then we started doing live techno.
Right.
Just Tyler and myself with 2 Octatracks, which is literally like 8-channel samplers.
Yeah.
So we use them like drum machines. Again, I'd like to think we were ahead of our time, playing these like parties with 2 of us just rolling in with these 2 little black boxes and connecting in and like doing live techno, which obviously is a little bit more boring than mastered, arranged tracks.
Sure.
So a lot of times people didn't quite get what we were doing, but we just kept on doing it. And
this was African American, is that right?
This is African American.
Okay, right.
Yeah, exactly. So
This is what you were called.
we were called African American. Yeah,
I imagine because you're African, he's American.
exactly.
Right,
So,
okay, it's good.
and it was kind of that play. It was so funny because we had a couple of PC friends who were like,
You can't say that.
You can't say that. Like, how are you guys 2 white guys calling yourselves African American? And it's like, well, I'm from Africa. He's from America. So therefore we're African American.
Yeah.
Well, Africa. Yeah. And so we also spelled it with K's and we got all techno on it, because you just change it up a bit. And then we met two of our friends, Penny and Melania, who were in a band called Shiny Shiny.
Okay.
We kind of started opening for them when they do their like queer pop, I guess is what it is. It's really beautiful music. They're 2 amazingly talented artists. Then the 4 of us started making music together, and we were all on the same vibe of just going to do all live electronic music, no computers on stage kind of thing.
Okay.
Started making some really complex music, which we quickly realized if we wanted to do it all hardware on stage, it's going to take a lot of prep to do. So we were like, okay, it's fine. We'll have one Ableton session with a couple of backing tracks,
Sure.
But most of it was all live. So We Play Machines.
Okay. Yes.
So we did that. And so, that was my life, and we were doing fairly well. We were playing a couple of festivals and, quite a few gigs and stuff. And then this Adelaide job came up.
Right. So here we are. We've arrived in Adelaide.
And here we are in Adelaide.
Life changes again in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Quite significantly
Big time.
in amazing ways as well. Right?
Yeah.
So Byron Bay to Adelaide is a bit of a jump.
Yes, you could say that.
They're not they're not the same.
No, they're slightly different.
Slightly different culturally.
Different. Yeah.
All sorts of
weather-wise.
ways.
Sitting here looking at the storm
Yeah,
outside,
that's right.
the cold winters.
Okay, so I want to ask you, why would you move to Adelaide from Byron? But you've done so many things, have been so many places. Why wouldn't you? I guess is why wouldn't you just follow an opportunity and say, I'm going to throw myself into it? Because it seems like one of the themes of the story is you see an opportunity, you throw yourself into it, you see what it is. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and if it does, it does, and it works for a season. And if you just move on, you just commit yourself to it and give everything you can. So I am imagining that, hey, there's an opportunity for you to go to Adelaide. I can imagine your response is, well, okay.
It was, it's an interesting thing because I remember that moment so clearly where the campus manager called me in and he was like, I don't want to do this. And I really don't want to do this because I'd like to think I was a highly valued member of the team there. And he was just like, there's this opportunity and we think that you'd be really great at it.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting and there was just something in me that just immediately went like, tick, this is it. Because if you think about it, like with We Play Machines was at that stage, just I feel like not about to blow up and, all of it. It's definitely not all over Triple J or anything like that. But it was at a point where I feel like we were getting some momentum.
Yeah.
Tyler and I had just a bit before that we released like our African American EP. There's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of interactive stuff that we were getting into. So there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in Byron.
Right.
But there was something in me that was just like, you've got to do this. You just have to do this.
Wow.
And so that was me sitting down with the band going, I'm going to Adelaide.
So how did they deal with that?
And everyone's just like, Adelaide? And my first response when they said, do you want to go to Adelaide? I was like, where's Adelaide?
Right,
Like,
sure.
I'd never been to Adelaide. I was just like, can you show me on a map? Like, is there a beach there?
But you'd never been to Australia before, before you moved here anyway.
Yeah,
so
it's like, as
big
long
deal.
as there's a beach, I'll consider it.
You'll be
if
fine.
there's no beach, then no. And they were like, oh, it's not the same beach as
there's
in
water.
Byron. I was like, that's okay.
Yeah, but you stand up paddleboard now.
Exactly. And it's
You adapt to your environment.
You adapt to the environment, exactly. So yeah, that was it, man. And the
So
band,
what does the band say at that point?
they weren't happy. Obviously, everyone
Sure.
was just shocked. To be honest, everyone was extremely shocked.
Well, we've got some kind. There's a bit of responsibility and connection there. There's other people involved in your decisions at that point. All of a sudden, aren't there? There's so that's a big moment.
I guess there's a lot of other things happening. So my ex and I had then split up.
Yep.
And there was another relationship kind of thing happening, and things were kind of getting a little bit messy and tricky. And I think maybe subconsciously I was also like, you know what, I need a bit of a clean, fresh start.
Yeah.
And just kind of, and as much as people love Byron, it can be a very challenging place to live.
Sure.
It's an extremely expensive place.
Live there full time.
Full
and
time.
Be involved
It's,
constantly. Sure.
It's a super transient population.
Yep.
It's really hard to find people to really make solid connections
and
with.
do life with long term.
Yeah, because it's just that
there's
thing.
plenty of
That's
places
what
like that, yeah.
it's supposed to be like that.
That's
the
right.
whole,
Yeah, that's the point.
exactly. People go there. The Aboriginals would say, you go there, you heal, and you move on. Like that's the idea. It's not, you're not supposed to live there, and you could feel it. I remember it so clearly, man.
Right.
I'd sit outside, and I'd just be like, when you've got this almost anxiety in your chest. And you're just like, oh, I just need to move. I need to do something. I need to go somewhere else. I can't stay here.
How long had you been there at that point?
6 years.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
Yeah. So it was totally.
You're local.
I was not according to the Byron people. Let me tell you.
I lived in Newcastle.
Yeah.
You've got to be there for generations.
Yeah,
before it's
exactly.
local. I get
Yeah,
it.
like
Right.
even the surfers, like even after 6 years, they're still like, you're not allowed.
Absolutely
Don't even
not.
get out of the
I get
water.
it.
It's my
But
way.
yeah, but that's quite that's a significant amount of time.
Oh yeah, I'd like to think so. And so here we are in Adelaide.
Right. So you become campus manager here of SAE, and you've got your cool little team, this is where I meet you in this part of the story.
Then
And
Richard
so I
enters my life.
Everything changes. No, it's not true. So I'm fascinated. This is what happens when I have these interviews. I sit here and I'm like, and my brain's trying to put all of this story together because it's not the things you learn in the arc of people's stories is, I think, it's simultaneously encouraging and challenging, right? You go, wow. And the themes I hear through your story is just, you just keep moving, right? And when you get somewhere, you work hard and you see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's okay. You don't hold things too tight. Yeah. But you care about them enough. So I remember this. There's an old adage that there are two ways to hold a chicken. Hang with me for a second.
Yeah.
One, and sometimes you can hold a baby chicken with two hands really, really tight and protect it from the world, and you kind of hold this kind of dream or this thing really tight. The problem with doing that, holding a chicken that tight, is you kind of you squash the chicken, right? Or the other way to hold a chicken is actually with an open hands and let it sit in you, and you can still care for it and love it and give everything you can to it, and you can steward that relationship. But there's a risk that it may not stay in your hands forever. But you know what? That's the risk you take to keep the chicken alive. Kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
And so as I hear your story, I hear these moments where you give everything of yourself to a situation or to a place or to a certain group of people, but you hold them in a place where you care about them deeply and you're invested. But there's a risk that it may not be forever. There's a risk that this may not be the thing that is just forever and a day, but you give what it can and what it has.
Yeah.
So what's different now? So what's going on in work and life and I guess your passions and your responsibilities? What's changed in the last how long have you been here? 5 years?
No, only 4 years.
Only 4 years. So
Yeah.
you just arrived.
Just arrived. Yeah.
when I met you.
Yeah. So I think
I've been here long.
you guys were pretty much the first cohort.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
feel
think
like
I
you
even
were.
knew that.
Yeah, you were literally the first group that came in
There you
when I started. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, a lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
So I now have a new partner.
Yes.
We're engaged.
Yes.
And she
Congratulations.
has, thank you. She has 2 beautiful girls.
He does.
So I am an instant father.
Instant father.
Which has been very amazing, very challenging in a lot of ways, but it's absolutely amazing. I've bought and built my first house
Yes.
down at the beach.
You have?
At Serenity Rise. I
There you
probably
go.
shouldn't say that. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to live on Serenity Rise?
Yes.
So Port Nalunga, it's amazing. It is like, for once, I feel like I'm actually adulting.
Right.
Like I'm actually
Right,
a
okay.
responsible adult for once in
You
my
feel
life.
like that?
But I also don't feel like I am.
Okay.
I also feel like I'm still having fun. I need to have a lot more fun. And I think that's an important thing to remember, is that you don't have to be a gloomy, serious person.
Right.
You can be responsible. You can be an adult. You can do everything the way you need to do it, and you can still have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely one of those things. And when you're going to commit to something, and it's interesting that that's what you mentioned, that you've noticed that's what I've been doing. It's like, because when you do something, you might as well do it well, but have fun with it.
Yeah.
And again, if you're not having fun doing it, almost find a way to have fun with it.
Right.
Like, otherwise,
Yeah.
you're just going to demotivate yourself, and
Yeah.
it's just not going to
Because
be
there are
fun.
seasons. I think this is. There are going to be seasons, and there are going to be jobs that you don't love.
Yeah.
Right. You're not. I think what's hard is I think sometimes the goal for some people is that it always makes me happy. Well, that's not necessarily, happy's a byproduct.
Yeah.
Of doing other things well.
Yeah.
There are times, I imagine, through that story that it's just a whole lot of hard work.
Oh, yeah.
And a whole lot of stress and a whole lot of, I could be doing anything else but this, but I'm here
Yeah.
right now and I've just got to show up and I've just got to do it and I've just got to slog through. And
Exactly.
we have no money, so I just have to find whatever work I can.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
But the reality is that the dream doesn't necessarily die along with those realities.
No.
Okay. And so I think what's hard, and I guess part of my conversation that I'm trying to have, and trying to discover with people, is that there's this constant pressure, I think, for young people, especially leaving school, to have it all worked out.
Yeah.
Okay. So why I asked the question, what did you want to be? And you go, wow, right. Because the reality of our arc, of our life arc, is actually completely different to, I think, what at times we are preparing young people for. So we kind of say, have it worked out when you're 15, plan your last 2 years towards going and doing your thing, and because that's the career you're going to do. And the reality is, with all niceness, that doesn't sound like a career arc
No.
story,
it's not
right?
At all.
It's not,
No.
This isn't a story of Johann's career building path.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Johann's story of life, of how he's putting together the exact, I guess, topic and point of this podcast, which is how do you put your life, your passions, work, and your responsibilities, how do you put those things together and somehow come out with a story that you're building? How do you do that? And how do you not just give in to that and just go, oh, it's too hard, or I can't change anything, or as I hear your story, I hear moments of bravery. Like, there's plenty of moments of you just going, I'm going to go and try something new.
Yeah.
And there are, for many of us, that's some people, they would say they can't do that. They don't know how to do that. And maybe they do. Maybe it's just practice, though.
Yeah.
It's
pressure, though, isn't it? People put a lot of pressure on themselves.
They really do.
And I think, like, this is what you're saying, like the society, the pressure that we put on our kids and people, and it's like, oh, you have to know what you need to do by 17. Like, they never know what we really need to do or have to do. We just need to kind of
next, right?
follow your heart and trust your instincts and go, someone on Facebook the other day said, what's a quote that has changed your life?
Yeah.
Tom Cosm, the producer, Ableton guru. And mine has always been, and this is a shirt that I saw, it's like, love what you do and do what you love.
Yeah.
And for me, it's that simple.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that changed my life into me going, I need to go to Australia and do music. Because
Right.
I wasn't loving retail.
Sure.
I wasn't, doing what I love, and I wasn't loving what I'm doing.
Sure.
And
What's interesting, your story, at times you did love what you did, even though it was different to what you're doing now. So it
Yeah.
changes, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's not-
absolutely.
Because I think there's the other pressure, right? The other pressure is that you have to work out the thing you love
Oh, yeah.
and do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The reality is, no, my interests change, right? And
Totally.
who I am and what I... So
Yeah.
retail, for a good portion of time for you,
was
you were
awesome.
loving that.
I was.
That was a flourishing
Absolutely. Yeah,
portion of your life.
totally.
But then interesting in your story, you said at one point you went back to retail and you went, oh...
Oh man, like now
get
it's
me
like my
out.
nemesis.
Right.
Like I can't even go clothes shopping now, and I used to love clothes shopping. I literally cannot do it.
Right.
I'm like, I'd much do anything. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Buy me anything. It doesn't have to match the country. It doesn't have to be my size. I just do not want to go into a clothes
just don't
shop.
make me go.
Yeah. And I mean, I was literally like in the thick of the fashion industry at one stage. But you're so right though, and I think people forget that you change, you grow. Your interests have to change. You can't be interested in the same thing when you were 21 than when you're 41 or 61.
Right.
You change, you grow, and embrace that change and roll with it and go, oh, all of a sudden I'm really interested in winemaking.
Well,
So-
this is
This-
one day maybe.
This is maybe my next move. No, my next move, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more in the social sciences. That's kind of where I want to kind of going into more like personal, helping people. So again, like I'm already, using music,
Yes.
using my knowledge and understanding of technology and music production.
And I imagine marketing and retail skills and the discipline of working hard and fixing a boat and cleaning and having harnessed and now learnt from the anxiety of being a jump master.
Yeah.
And here's the truth though, right?
Yeah.
Because you take everything from all of those experiences.
Yeah.
And that builds you into the person you are sitting in front of me. That's
Yeah.
the whole point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the next thing you couldn't have done
Totally.
20 years ago.
No.
So
I wouldn't have been brave enough. I wouldn't have had the knowledge
you
or
wouldn't have the skills.
experience.
You wouldn't have the.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. None of that stuff. So even what you're doing right now, as you sit in front of me, you couldn't have done 20 years ago. That jump from there to there is not possible without jumps in between. And so
Those steps.
my belief is like life is like a dance, right? And I think often we sit down at step 2 and we say, what is the 50th step of this dance? It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
The 50th step is irrelevant because one, it's a step and a move that is way too technical for your current abilities
Yeah.
and is probably dancing you into a direction right now would freak you out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you'd have told a 17-year-old you
What I'd be doing right
your
today.
story today, you'd
No
have
way.
gone, what the heck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the answer's got to be, no, what's step 3?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get paralyzed because we can't answer the 50th step question. You'll answer the 50th step question when you're at 49. That's what you'll
Exactly.
it'll become apparent.
Yeah.
But you have to keep moving.
Yeah.
That's the reality. You have to keep dancing the one that's in front of you. And I think that's the pressure though. I think people we're kind of told we need to have it all worked out.
Yeah.
That the podcast is named Flea Factory after the book Elephant and the Flea, which talks about this different way of living and working and this kind of idea that these, you don't leave school when you're 17, walk into a job and that's the job you have until you retire. Now that used to be the world we lived in.
Yeah.
We used to live in that world.
Yeah.
We went into, there was a job in a factory or it was a job in an oil company or it was a job in a big elephant of some description or an institution or, it's why universities have tenure for professors because they'll work there until they die. Right?
Yeah.
That's just,
That's
no one can get rid of you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how irrelevant you are, you
Yeah.
get to stay, right?
Yeah.
There's these elephant kind of concepts, and they still exist. There's just less of them. The vast majority of us don't live and work in those environments.
No.
The vast majority of us live your story, our own version of it,
Yeah.
right? That maybe don't clean super yachts and pick potatoes and be a jump master. But this is our life, right? This for most of us. And it means we have to be aware that we're living a different life and stop
Yeah.
comparing ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Because comparison's a death, right?
No, absolutely.
And I'm convinced that we compare apples to oranges.
Yeah.
The other thing we do is I would compare my insides to your outsides.
Mm.
And you would compare your insides to my outsides.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And guess what? You always lose
Yeah.
when you compare your insides to somebody's outsides.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Exactly. You
don't know.
You definitely are. You never know.
So why I love this idea of us talking and sharing that story is I think it's encouraging and fascinating. Because if I've met you 4 years ago, I see you as the Johann I know today. I can assume a lot of things about that person.
Yeah.
That you had a dream to do this, you've nailed it along the way, every step in progression in your training has led you to be this person I see in front of you. And I can go, well, I could never do that in my life, like Johann, who has been single-minded and focused his entire life to become so successful as he is.
And then you hear the story.
And you go,
like,
oh my gosh, that sounds a lot like my story.
Exactly.
Just with whole different elements. But, and I think that's liberating. That's encouraging to me. I go, maybe it didn't do it wrong.
No.
Okay? Because I think that's what we often think.
Yeah, we do.
We wonder whether we've done it wrong.
Yeah, and you can't ever do it wrong. You know, everything that you do, even if it doesn't work out, has happened for a reason. Like you were saying, those things help you grow. They make you, you learn. It changes your perspective, and you need those to get you where you need to go. And it doesn't necessarily make sense straight away.
Yeah.
You know, like the skate park closing at that stage. I was just like, oh, this is like the end of my dream. This was my dream. This is what I've always wanted to do with my life. And now if you ask me, I'm like, oh, it would be cool, but I wouldn't really want to. I'd want to own it, but I wouldn't want to run it every day. You know,
Could you imagine having a conversation right now with that guy?
Yeah.
With that you. Like the perspective you bring to that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that you is devastated.
Yeah. Oh, I was broken.
And that you is saying things like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with myself for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Like I failed. Like
absolutely.
I had a moment of just going, wow, I've just failed on my dream. Like my major dream. Like this whole thing is just, fallen out of my hands and broken on the ground. And I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I had it. Yeah. Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Punks. Come on.
Punks stole my toilet doors and ruined my whole dream.
Kick down my doors? What am I doing?
Like, not even metaphorically. They stole my toilet
literally
doors.
Just did it. Smashed my stuff up like punks do.
And the dreams change. Yeah.
And they do. And again, like now, what is my dream? Yes, my dream still kind of involves people, that I'm supporting and helping in some form. But yeah, it's a way different way now, much more personal and intimate way. And thanks to those, going through getting annoyed by kids at the skate park. You can imagine running a skate park. Like I was like the dad figure. It's like, whoa, watch me. I can do a kickflip. And you're like, you can't do a kickflip. I know you can't do a kickflip, but you still stand there and you encourage them. And, so all that stuff's just taught me patience and
prepared you for
empathy and whatever. And to the point where now today, that's like, yep, that is me. And that is what I want to do. I want to help people and
Hey, I've loved this. This is good. We should do this more often.
We should do this more often.
There's like 100 different stories in that whole story you just told me. That I'm sure.
I'm sorry, it probably went way longer than it was supposed to.
No, it did not. What I'm saying is there are more stories in there that we need to pull out there. Because I think there's a heap of more entertainment in there as well. So, hey, thank you so much for chatting to me.
It's been a great pleasure.
Really cool. I feel like I just know you so much better all of a sudden. Well, a little bit better.
A little bit better, yeah. We'll have to. We can hang out way more and learn more from each other.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure to do so. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
See ya.
Well, thanks for joining me today on today's podcast. I really hope you enjoyed hearing some of Johann's story. I'm sure he'll be back on this podcast really soon. Don't forget to subscribe and you will be up to date with every single episode as soon as it hits the internet. Thanks so much for your support. It's been really great. Lots of people contacting me and saying that they're enjoying it so far. I hope you are one of them. I look forward to seeing you soon. See ya.